in a little tent. Oh, and just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will.
After winter of snow, snow, and more snow, with ice storms in between, everyone in Anamosa braced themselves for the Wapsi to flood, as they knew it would. It was not a matter of if the Wapsi would flood, it was a matter of just how much. Finally, in April, the winter gave one last blast and let spring try to move in. As expected in April, the Wapsi came up and invaded the state park's lower road, threatened the pedestrian bridge, and roared over the dam. But spring was angry at having to wait for so long and lashed the area with one storm after another.
That's that water running down the street.
The ground was saturated, and the rains didn't stop. The Wapsi rose higher and higher. In June 2008, the Wapsi crested at 12 feet over the flood stage. The Wapsi flooded into areas that even the old-timers had never seen covered. We're going to take a look at the flood of 2008, one that will surely go down in history as one of Iowa's worst natural disasters. Let's start out by looking at the Shaw Road area. We're here on Shaw Road, taking a look at it. As you can see, the road is partially covered on this side. This is a view of Shaw Road. It's June 11th. And we're going through some very serious flooding. You can kind of get an idea. The road is completely covered all the way up to the curve up there. It's evening. The humidity is so bad that we're starting to develop a fog over the river. You can see many buildings and sheds and such along this area are filled with water. This is an area where cattle are normally housed at. Okay, now we're out by the Buffalo River. You can see this is out by the State Farm. And the State Farm, that one building that usually gets touched with flood, is now completely surrounded. And from the looks of that, the water is actually going down a little bit from it, because there's about a foot of dirt around the top of the water. So you can see the same thing on the State Farm barns. We're out along the Buffalo again 1 week later, and you can see there on the shed of the Iowa State Farm the watermarks that were left by the flood. And you can also see in the fields how it had left a lot of mud and silt all over where the water had been before, and also on the barns of the Iowa State Farm. You can see the watermarks and see where the water has been, and the devastation that the flood has created. Hundreds of volunteers work feverishly to stack sandbags on a berm constructed to hold back the floodwaters. The Imperial Apartments on Elm Street were evacuated. Fire crews monitored where the water was going. No one was sure of its path. The town had never seen water levels so high. On Thursday night, the gauge on Elm Street Bridge recorded a river height of 17.1 feet. That compares with a height of 16 feet at the crest of the record flood in 1999. They would handle the flood until heavy rains, Thursday, sent a surge of water down the Buffalo Creek, which enters the Wapsi and Anamosa. Local Wapsipinicon Authority John Dirks, a volunteer flood coordinator in Jones County for the past 35 years, said he thought the river would be close to 18 feet when it crested. The wild card was the Buffalo, which had received 1.5 to 3 inches of rain on its watershed Thursday. There was no way to measure the water coming down the Buffalo. City employees, scores of volunteers, supplemented by crews of inmates at the Iowa State Penitentiary, were busy Thursday stacking sandbags around the wastewater treatment plant and along Elm Street, near the bridge leading to the Wapsipinicon State Park. Around noon on Thursday, one of the inmates drove a stick into the water to measure the river's rate of rise. The water had climbed 4 inches in 45 minutes. If the dikes failed, the water would flood the waste treatment plant and the nearby apartments and athletic fields. The wastewater treatment plant was given up as lost to floodwaters about 7 p.m. The concrete wall surrounding it was built to withstand a 100-year flood, but this was more than a 100-year flood. Unfortunately, the levee between the Wapsipinicon River and the waste treatment plant in southern Anamosa broke just before 9 p.m. on Thursday night. The area filled up with 10 to 12 feet of water, flooding homes and businesses. The sports complex went underwater. Floodwaters breached a couple of man-made levees and sent contaminated sewage water flowing. With the levee broken, nearby apartment buildings and homes along Elm Street were flooded. The wastewater treatment facility was breached and a porta potty floated by the submerged concession stand in the Anamosa football field. On Friday afternoon, the senior center on Ford Street in Anamosa began serving meals to volunteers to help with the flood efforts. Anamosa was warned of a levee break in Stone City about 5:45 on Friday, and sandbagging resumed, building a dam across Elm Street. The surge of water that was expected never came, much to the relief of the residents in the area. Okay, we're here on the Wapsi Bridge, looking at the Wapsi. You can see the river's got everything covered. You can see the old pedestrian bridge has water actually going over it. All the debris that's catching on that bridge. Say what, standing on this bridge, standing on this dam right now with the water so close to the bottom of it, you actually get a sense of it moving. You can see that the boat ramp over here is completely gone, leading into the park. You can see that lagoon off here to the right is completely full. And look down and you can see. Yeah. I don't know how that'll come out, but I tried to take a picture under the dam there, under the bridge, to see if it was hitting the pillars. Okay, now we're on the other side of the bridge, looking around here, and you can see how full it is. We're going to be looking, this is looking towards the cemetery pond. You can see how full that really is. I'm going to pick you up and look at the water again. You can hear it, see it. Okay, we're here on the south side of the Anamosa, where you would normally come in from Fairview. The bridge has been closed, so we walked across the bridge to come over here. And we're going to sweep over. This is the city shop. It's pretty well covered with water. And you can see some of the water is held back by a dike that they had built. You can see there's a breach in it right over on the other side of those sandbags. There's a small breach in that dike that's letting water through. See right in there. So they have tried to evacuate all the equipment out of there, but you can see that some of it still remains. So there's some of the snow plows and things such as that. You can see the ball diamonds are completely underwater from this angle. And we're swinging towards Imperial Apartments and Tapkins, you can see down there. And we're going to go get a closer shot of this, but if you'll look right there, where the water is rushing through, that's where the levee broke away that they were building to try and hold some of this back. It's unfortunate, but that's what's causing a lot of this area to flood. Right there at the break of that levee. We're going to tape a shot of a couple of the city workers. They're trying to get in there and get some of that equipment out of there that has been stranded basically by the flood. This gives you an idea of just how severe and how deep this water is getting this time. I wanted to give you a shot of the sign that is the tennis courts. Okay, this is where the levee broke. We're down here by the cemetery. You can see the old phone box that was by the entrance of the cemetery. And you can just see the massive amount of water that's letting through. And into this entire area. There's the shelter by the baseball diamonds. It's completely underwater. It's right up to the roof of it. And then here are the baseball diamonds. You can just see the roof of the dugout over there. One of those baseball diamonds. And I think that's the roof to the bathrooms, isn't it? Isn't that the roof to the bathrooms? Yeah. Find something over. Some of the issues that they have with flooding is all the debris in the water. You can see we got something floating right there that just really does a lot of damage as it goes down. Again, this is the shot of the ball diamond. This whole area is completely flooded in. Looking back towards the E34 bridge, which has been closed to traffic. In that direction, you've got the, looking that way, you're looking towards the state park. Those are the tennis courts. And in the distance you have the city shops. They're all underwater. And then you're looking towards the baseball diamonds. And all of them being underwater. Just behind that tree you see the football fields, the bleachers. We looked at them earlier. They're all have water on them. They're not underwater, the entire bleacher set, but they have water quite a ways up on those. And then as you swing around, like I said, the shelter has water all the way up to its rooftop. And then you just have this incredible amount of water coming out of the break in that levee that they tried to build to kind of save this area. There was a lot of volunteers down here yesterday sandbagging and working and trying to move the dirt and get that levee put up. And it's unfortunate that one area of it had to break. But think of the amount of water that would have gone through here if this levee hadn't been put up at all. You can see a little bit of water. It's seeping around the edge of the levee up here. And once again, we're gone all the way around, and we're looking again at the Wapsi Bridge, and you can see the water kind of seeping around that levee. Not a large amount, but enough now that there's not a lot they can do about it, with the situation being what it is. And you can look up into the cemetery and see, you can still see a little bit of that lower road from our angle. I'm going to try to go through the trees here so you can see. So I would suspect that there's not a lot of damage to any of the souls laid to rest in the cemetery. At this point, it's not up to that degree yet. You can see how Tapkins is just really completely covered. We were in that area earlier. The water about halfway up Tapkins' front door up there. Under the tops of the gas pumps. Halfway up Subway's door. And again, the gas pumps are clear up to them. Okay, we're going to try to get a picture of the Anamosa sign that's behind that big the big levee that they built up. So I'm going to raise this up and see if we can get a shot of it. All right, here goes. We are now on the corner of Mill and Mechanic Street. This area flooded Thursday night when the levee had broke. A shoe floating over there.
The boys.
Oh yeah?
Telling them all about it.
Oh yeah. The video is being taken from in front of Eden's lawnmower business, which was saved by a mere feet from floodwaters. The garage's 2 Imperial apartments are in 4 or 5 feet of water, and the apartments are flooded in the lower level. The baseball diamond and softball diamonds are now in a shimmering lake caused by the floodwaters. The batting cages, concession stands, and restrooms are all filled with water. The football field and track, the bleachers and the scoreboard, all in the floodwaters. In the distance, the American flag still waves on a pole where the national anthem was played just shortly before a crowd of cheering spectators. There is also another view of the breach in the levee. Now we'll go over to the area around Tapkin's store and Elm Street. It's hard to tell in this video, but we're looking through the windows of the subway, and you see the water is held back by that fence, and then there's a little bit of a dip in it. But if you look, you can see the water through the door on the other side and how it completely surrounds the subway and Tapkin's convenience store. Okay, this familiar sight is the Eden sign right out on the edge of town. That used to be the Star Appliance building that's right behind it. You can see how that Eden sign is got water all the way up to the bottom of it. Okay, we're here on the other side of the road. You can see the cemetery across from us and how it's gone over the lower road of the cemetery over there. You can see it's over the lower road of the cemetery across there. Okay, you can see where the city had built up this levee quite a bit. They had even sandbagged it in an attempt to save this area. Or as you can see, we're on Jones and Cemetery Street. And then right over behind the sign, you can see where that levee broke. See, right in that area is where the levee broke and it's letting the water through. And that break in the levee is what's causing this flooding. That over there is the shelter over by the baseball diamond. We're looking across Jones Street and the main street there. And again, to the left of the screen is Tapkin's convenience store. That big square there in front of us, that's the Anamosa sign coming into town. It's right behind it that they have the levee breakage. You can see the telephone booth that always marked the entrance of the cemetery. We're going to walk around just a little bit out of these poles, and you'll notice the Tapkin sign right there and how far underwater it is. To give you some idea. And there's the front of the Imperial Apartments, which the entire basement apartments are flooded. You can see this whole alley beside Tapkins and Subway is full. Yeah.
Hi, Mary.
Picture guy. Yeah, give him the good side again. Here, I'll hide the.
Okay, now we're here in the park and we're like over that cliff area.
Hold on.
You can see the pump house over there and how it's underwater. And here on the back side of this tree, I'm going to try to get out there and get a better picture, is the shelter. Okay, we're here in the Wapsi Park. This area is the area that normally houses the lower road. And it also, you can see over here, we'll take a close-up of that. That is the shelter that many folks come and picnic in. Over there you can see it is completely covered up to the roof. A little too fast there, sorry. And there's just solid water all the way around. You can see over there is the main channel of the river. You can see how fast it is flowing over there. The main channel of the river over there is flowing much faster than the backwaters here where we're at. They have put the picnic tables here on higher ground. Keep them from rushing away. Here's a shot of the water coming over that pedestrian bridge. And that's the way it looks here in the park. And if there's, Larry, if there's any specific direction you want me to point it and stuff other than
Well,
all
you're going to
the...
be the lead, so we'll just...
Yeah.
Are you stuck?
Just get it there. It's starting to fall.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. After you. So I got my raise. And the answer better be right. You can see them. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
They got one shot of it, of the goalpost when it was only about that far from the top. You could just see the top of the goalpost sticking out of the one video that I've got.
Bring them down. How do you want to go out on the way out?
Yeah, we'll come around there on the way out. Do you want to go inside the plant? We'll go in there and then come out.
Is that a rubber hose?
You can see where just the tip of that branch was sticking out, the way the leaves are.
Oh, definitely on and down.
So is that one of the scoreboards over there laying flat?
Now that's the batting cage.
The batting cage.
Now we numbered that down to 15 feet, right?
Oh, we're under 15. You can see the wall. This half is leaning in, the other half is going.
I see that.
Not this wall.
Jeez.
You got a pole over here.
Oh, there you go. It's collapsed.
You got another hole over here in the dike here.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna knock a hole in this dike.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's kind of caught up in here, isn't it? You gotta kind of let it out.
We can try to drop it similar to what we saw back there.
Oh, it is starting to break it. The water's almost
It's
starting to break
already
it
gone.
itself. Yeah.
That's how high that was.
That line around
Yeah,
it?
and then there's the main one, there's one above it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell by the lines on the building where the water was at.
Even with the doors.
Even with the doors, yeah. Jeez, right to the top of the doors, huh?
Not too much below us.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the building we're supposed to build up higher. I did too.
So it actually went into this, like up and level in it?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
this would have been straight across.
Yep.
This is the only thing back there that probably did it too much. And then the digest.
Yeah, we did that. Actually, it was inside that tank too. Right, high tank.
Yeah.
You can see the grading.
Look at all these poles. And look at that wheelbarrow. Oh, we forgot to show them the porta potty that we got through the belt.
The
I
wheelbarrow.
might go back out that way. It's easier to move
How did that wheelbarrow get caught up there on the front one? It's
Oh.
not ours.
That's poles, yeah. Look at all the poles.
Well, it's dropping good. I wonder if that pump's not working. That valve.
Valve.
Because we were even with the handle. I opened it. Not only that, probably get everybody
You can see like an old Christmas tree fence right there.
We're just going to set up and that was
Oh, yeah.
high up there, pal.
Right, all along there was chain link fence. Underneath the barbed wire, top wire. And that levee of sandbags was what, 3 feet high, you said?
3, 4 foot.
Jeez.
It was so high that we couldn't reach it now.
Huh.
Yeah. Look at that, Becky.
The porta potty.
Whose it is, but we can-
Don't know whose it is or how it got here, but here it is.
Remember the metal that was sitting over here? I think it get all the way over there.
Jeepers.
It was sitting over there.
Yeah, you can see the water line all along this building.
Oh, somebody moved it?
Evidently, but it was
Oh, you did? Oh, it was in there.
yeah, I was
I
like,
thought I had that moved.
I was helping the way it's set. Yeah, I was helping, yeah.
Just probably didn't get it either.
this side.
That way.
Yeah. Water on one side, I'll have the cabin on the other side. Across the river on the other side. I'm gonna drop me off up there. I'm already get our come around here. We gotta be careful. Yeah, I wouldn't go that way.
Come this way.
Don't fall.
Hold on to Becky if you have to fall.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll cushion you pretty good.
Those are city guys.
The big wood thing? Yeah.
They was sitting far side over there, and I believe they had their sand and stuff like that.
Yeah. It looked like it had some kind of sign or something on it. It was part of the ball diamonds, but
John, could I have you sit in the middle? No, no. You were going, I was going. Yeah, that's the thing. Boys were
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they were. I went up to Cedar Rapids yesterday and just went down yeah, the wind was about 200
I think that's where your porta potty come from. They had two of them over there at one time.
Those planters, if I recall, are from in front of Tapkins, or they're from someone's house. They got washed into the current. There they sit. Standing in the middle of this neighborhood, you can kind of see the devastation that a flood can do. See where the water is up on the garage and on the front porch of this property. You can see the grass is just covered with mud. Sidewalks covered with mud and washed out in places. You can see the ring around there of mud as the water went down. In an earlier video, we saw those flowers floating in the water. And directly ahead of us is the Eden sign that we knew was up. The water was up on it. This is back behind the Imperial Apartments. You can see where the water was up on the garages and in the first floor apartments. You can see where the waters had gotten all the way up on the bank there by Eden's. And now they're trying to clean up. On the back of this house. You can see on this window where the water come up on it. How high the water level was on the front of the Imperial Apartments. That's where that levee broke, and you can see how it washed out the road and the repair that will have to be done there to get that road available for traffic again. This house here, you can see, has suffered a lot of damage, which is a shame. They just remodeled this home, and you can see the entire basement wall has been washed out. You have other dangers, like that crack behind that gas meter, where the foundation's about to give way on this house. All the night crawlers that have come up from the ground with all the water.
A lot of pressure. These guys gonna take all the precautions.
Trying to do some cleanup.
Yeah, they get all the precautions.
We stood on this hill earlier when the flood was clear at its crest, so I thought you'd like to see a shot of it after. It's another hill that we stood on and took video. So you can see the water receding has left quite a mark. Again, this is one of those spots we stood at before and was looking at the water. I thought we'd come back and take a look. Now that the water's receded, you can see how much damage this water can do. When you can see where all of that's eroded away. That didn't used to be like that. And you can tell on that little tree
Some little ducky got it too.
how high the water.
Little ducky gutters everywhere.
Yeah. I don't think anybody will forget the sight of the water pouring over that bridge for a long, long time either.
Or the mere fact that there's no fencing left.
Yeah. Well, the actual fencing that was on it, the way I understand is they took the fencing off so it wouldn't catch debris during the flood.
Oh.
And that way debris could flow through it. And
That's probably the only thing that saved it.
they intend to put the fencing back. Thought it was interesting. We're down here below the pedestrian bridge and we were noticing the deer tracks where deer had come down, still in the mud, to the area. And the old stone wall that's still intact. It was somewhat washed out. This is looking down the low road here in the Wapsipinicon State Park. You can see the debris line right along the road there where it came up. And that big tree that's across the road. There's many, many uprooted trees in the park, from what I understand, that are keeping us from getting in there. And then you'll look at our pedestrian bridge. You can see that the boards are pretty much just covered with the silt that flows with the river when the water was over it. Amazingly though, doesn't look like many of the boards were taken out, but they will probably have to have some work done on them. You can see a lot of the rocks that had washed out here in the valley right by the dam. And take a good look at that tree down there where it actually been hollowed out by the water.
Amazingly enough, the stairs are still there.
The stairs are still there, which is amazing.
There's a pile of rocks out in the middle of the river.
You can see where it redesigned the sand.
It's redesigned the flow of the river.
They redesigned the flow of the river. You can see further down there's a big pile of trees and such. Clear down there, there it is. That the river had washed out there. Yeah. This is a big sinkhole that's developed right here by the dam, by the bridge. And you can once again see the dam. And just to give you some idea, we'll show you a picture of how the water was clear up to the top. See that sign where it says dam and the little the little alcove door that's got the board on it. We'll show you a picture of the water right underneath that, the alcove of that door hanging out.
It washed away the cement wall over there. It's
Yeah.
up in the air. It didn't used to do that.
Yep. You can see another big tree in there. We're going to walk down this lower road just a little bit. You can see there's one big tree here that is lodged in across the road, and right behind it there's another one. And we'll go up and take a look at it too. Here's that other big tree. You can see where it pulled out a lot of the rock and sand and stuff out of the cliff. It just basically got pulled right down out of that cliff. Huge. And then it lays clear out over the river. Absolutely incredible what the force of water can do. take a look at this. We're taking a look at where that tree was pulled out of the cliff, out of the side here. We're basically standing right at the roots of the tree, but you can see the road down there, and then the way it lays out into the river. You can see in this part of the lower road where the sand and silt has washed over it, and it's washed out. Again, more trees laying in the river, and how the bank is all washed out. We're going to walk up around the bend and take a look at that portion of the river and at the pavilions. We're going to get our first look at the pavilions over here and this side of the river. Again, you can see the damage that the water can do as it wedged tree branches up into the tops of trees and just basically move trees from their roots. And you can see the old pedestrian bridge, and you know, people are starting to fish again. Back to recreational enjoyment. You can see as we get closer, more of the damage. You can see this road when it was covered with water, the silt that covers the road surface. And also I find this type of tree where it's leaning and going over the road. I bet if we looked in videos that we had of the park from before, we wouldn't see that. These over the road. And you can tell by the dead grass from, you know, this area down, that's how high the river was on those bushes and branches. And in these two particular trees, you can see the roots are totally exposed. And that's caused by the floodwaters. You can see here the pavilion, big tree that's been uprooted. You can see the sand has come up against the parking blocks where people used to park their cars. You can see the trees that are down along that area over there. And the sign that shows flood damage. The old stone pavilion is leaning quite badly. So it will be a while before we'll be able to have picnics there. That is where the pavilion used to be, and that area right there. You can see the tree that had fallen behind it. Many of picnics there. You can see across the river there where a tree was taken down, and other, you know, indications of the flood along the way. And there's where the roof of the pavilion landed and ended up. You can see more trees down and water lines. One thing I wanted to point out, we had taken some video from above on that cliff earlier on Friday, and we had come down the steps over there to where the picnic tables are. And at that time all you could see was those top picnic tables up there. We didn't even see these down here at the time they were underwater. Taking a look at the washout from underneath that rock. And what a little hole it creates. And there's another shot of our beautiful pedestrian bridge.
Talking about all the bark on this one tree. From there on down, on that branch, there's no bark. It's just gone. I think it's just
We'll try. Oh yeah, when I zoom in you can see that the one side of this tree, the bark has all been sheared off of it. Thought we'd come down and show you just a little bit of the devastation here on the ball diamonds and how they got really just ruined. You see the bleachers have floated up onto the fence. You got a dugout that's completely tipped over. Still a lot of standing water everywhere. And Imperial Apartments, you can see on their garages quite clearly where the water came up to them. But really just a shame that our ball fields had to suffer so much damage. There's a shot of our football field. When we took a look at this, the water was right by underneath the goal posts. Water clear up into the bleachers. You can see the debris that's come up onto the fence line. And there's actually a layer of silt and sand on the track surface that has to be completely taken off. You can see the concession stand was completely underwater, as was the bathrooms and the gatehouse. And then there's the bleachers. They've cleaned some of the debris off of it, but you can see the water line where it got up onto it. Over there you'll see there's trying to get some of the sand dug out and away from where they had built the levees, get that sand smoothed out, get the dirt taken out of there. The trucks and the workers there trying to get that done.
Mississippi, she's calling my name. Catfish are jumping, that paddle wheel bumping. Black water keep rolling on fast just the same. Oh, black water keep on rolling. Mississippi moon, won't you keep on shining on me? Oh, black water keep on rolling. Mississippi moon, won't you keep on shining on me? Oh, black water keep on rolling. Mississippi moon, won't you keep on shining on me? Yeah, keep on shining your light. Gonna make everything great. Mama gonna make everything alright. And I ain't got no worries, 'cause I ain't in no hurry at all. Well, if it rains, I don't care. Don't make no difference to me. Just take that streetcar, let's go uptown. Yeah, I like to hear some funky Dixieland and dance a honky tonk. And I'll be buying everybody drinks all around. Oh, black water, keep on rolling. Mississippi moon, won't you keep on shining on me? Oh, black water, keep on rolling. Mississippi moon, won't you keep on shining on me? Oh, black water, keep on rolling. Mississippi moon, won't you keep on shining on me? Keep on shining your light. Gonna make everything, gonna make everything alright. And I ain't got no worries, 'cause I ain't in no hurry at all. With your daddy all night long. I'd like to hear some funky Dixieland. Pretty mama, come and take me by the hand. By the hand, take me by the hand. Pretty mama, come and dance with your daddy all night long. I'd like to hear some funky Dixieland. Pretty mama, come and take me by the hand. By the hand, take me by the hand. Pretty mama, come and dance with your daddy all night long. I'd like to hear some funky Dixieland. Pretty mama, come and take me by the hand. Come on, baby. Take me by the hand. Pretty mama, come and dance with your daddy all night long. I'd like to hear some funky Dixieland. Pretty mama, come and take me by the hand. By the hand, take me by the hand. Pretty mama, come and dance with your daddy all night long. I'd like to hear some funky Dixieland. Pretty mama, come and take me by the hand. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble
high and rising. How high is the water, Papa? She said it's 2 feet high and rising. Well, we can make it to the road in a homemade boat, 'cause that's the only thing we got left that'll float. It's already over all the wheat and oats, 2 feet high and rising. How high is the water, Mama? 3 feet high and rising. How high is the water, Papa? She said it's 3 feet high and rising. Well, the hives are gone, I lost my bees. Chickens are sleeping in the willow trees. Cows in water up past her knees, 3 feet high and rising. How high is the water, Mama? 4 feet high and rising. How high is the water, Papa? She said it's 4 feet high and rising. Hey, come look through the window pane. The bus is coming, gonna take us to the train. Looks like we'll be blessed with a little more rain. 4 feet high and rising. How high is the water, Mama? 5 feet high and rising. How high is the water, Papa? She said it's 5 feet high and rising. Well, the rails are washed out north of town. We gotta head for higher ground. We can't come back till the water goes down. 5 feet high and rising. Well, it's 5 feet high and rising.